Hey guys, Michelle from Michelle's Craft Corner here, and I've got a really fun card to share with you guys today. For my fellow nerds, you may know that this is the weekend that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out in theaters, and it inspired me to make this adorable baby Groot card. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. So let's get started. So here's a close-up of this adorable little Groot card. Technically he's a punch art piece because we're using some different punch shapes to make the face. So cute. Really love how it turned out. So to make this, I used a bunch of different things. The first off being the new Wood Textures Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up. This is going to be available in the 2017-2018 catalog, and it is one of the items that I could pre-order as a demo, and I am absolutely in love with this Designer Series paper stack. It is all wood grain textures in a variety of different tones and shapes. Oh, it is absolutely gorgeous. So there's one side, we'll flip over to the back. So just absolutely gorgeous. 4 each of 12 different designs, all these wood tones, gorgeous. So for this card, we're going to be using that sheet, kind of the beech wood, I guess, from that stack. Now, if you're watching this video and it is just recently posted and you can't get your hands on this yet, I would like to also mention that you can do a similar card design with the hardwood stamp set, just kind of stamping your own paper with this stamp set that is currently available and will be in the new catalog as well. So just wanted to mention that, but I do absolutely love this paper. So besides the paper for this card, you're also going to need some Always Artichoke, some scrap of basic black, and a card base out of the early espresso. You could also do chocolate chip instead if you have that on hand. Right. For ink, we're going to use the chocolate chip ink. Then of course we're going to need some dimensionals. And for our punched shapes, I used the balloon bouquet punch for those eye shapes. And then also the 1-inch circle punch. The other thing we'll be using is the circle framelets. Oh, where's my post-it note for them? Oh, here it is. Back. Circle framelets. Just sliding a little bit, but there we go. And we're also going to be using a couple of different markers. By the way, today's post-it notes are brought to you by the color Tranquil Tide, one of the new in colors, and I absolutely love this color. It's so pretty. Which you could also, if you are watching this after the new catalog is launched, you could also use Tranquil Tide for the background of that instead of artichoke. So that is from the new In Colors marker stack, which is some gorgeous colors in this one. Let me make sure I've got everything. Oh, and then other thing we're going to be using is a white Uniball pen. If you don't have this on hand, you could also use the Stampin' Up chalk marker as well. Mine's just a little dry because I've used it a fair amount, so that's why I'm going to be using this one in this video instead. And then the other marker color I'm going to be using is the chocolate chip marker. And then you can use just a basic black pen, but I'm also using the Stampin' Up Project Life pen just to do that little mouth and a few little edge details. Okay, so I know that's a lot of different things. We're doing a little sponging today as well, but he will come together faster than you would believe. So let's get started. Move some stuff out of the way. Okay. Yeah, love this paper. So gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to start with our Early Espresso card base. Oh, looks like I actually have 2 there. Okay. So there we go. Boom. Nice and easy. Now, oh, I also didn't show you this. Okay, so that's the Early Espresso. Now I've got my other pieces from that hardwood, excuse me, the new Designer Series paper stack. So besides the light tone that I'm using, which that one is cut at 3 1/4 by 6, so just kind of cut the stack about in half. Then I'm going to do another piece in 5 1/4 by 4 in that same design, and that kind of just gives us that light border edge. And then for this piece behind the green, we've got that cut at 5 by 3 3/4. And our Always artichoke piece is cut at 3 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that is just for that back strip. Okay, so you guys got all those measurements? Hope I'm not going too fast. See, that's just going to layer on there just like that, so you're going to have that nice little edge all the way around. And then this guy is going to layer right on top, so you can already kind of see it coming together. All right, so those are all the cut pieces. I'm going to stick them off to the side, and let's work on Groot. So we're going to take our 3 1/4 by 6 piece and one of the circle framelits. Now I like to take kind of the bigger of one of the sets. It ends up being about a 3 and a little less than, okay, it looks like 3 1/4 inch circle from this stack. So one of the larger ones. And I'm going to take that and my paper. Now I'm going to show you how I do the cut, because a lot of people were like, how do you do that edge without cutting the whole circle? And there's a trick to it. So first off, I've got my magnetic plate. If you don't have the magnetic plate, you can also use the base plate for this. I'm just going to layer that on there just to kind of get that edge. And then I've got one of my cutting mats underneath. I'm going to have my other one on top. Now for this, really all we're trying to cut is just that bottom corner. So you don't want to put the whole top plate over it, because then it's going to cut the whole circle. All you need is the pressure on the part that you want cut. So I don't know if you can see that okay. Sorry if my camera's shaking a little. So you see that? You're only going to cover the part that you want cut, because then the pressure is only going to be on that piece. So you can either cut it like that and run it through. You could slide it up, which probably would be a little easier. Slide it up and kind of run it through. So basically wherever that top pad is where it's going to cut. Okay? All right. So once you do that, run it through the Big Shot. You're going to cut it out, and it's going to have kind of that little edge. See there, little. See, I already ran it through. Okay. So once you have it like that, move this guy off to the side. Then I'm going to take my Stampin' trimmer, which, by the way, this trimmer is awesome because it scores and cuts. So handy. Okay, so you've got that little edge right there. So we're going to line up that little edge and cut just a straight line up on both sides to kind of basically trim it out. If you want, you could also just paper snip it, but I like the straight line a little better. So I'm going to just take that and line it up in there. Let's see. I'm just cutting that edge straight up. So pretty quick and easy. See? There you go. Now you have the basic Groot face shape. So the other thing we're going to need for him is the eyes. So we're going to go ahead and do those real quick, and then we can just glue everything at the end. So I'm going to get my basic black scrap, which you really don't need a piece this big, my balloon bouquet punch, and then my 1-inch circle punch. Okay. And then a scrap of the early espresso as well to coordinate with the card base. As I said, if you go chocolate chip, you could do that instead. Lots of options here. So for the background of the eye, kind of the big base, I cut out the big balloon. Okay, see that right there? So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to cut out 2 balloons. Here. Using that punch. You see? Just boom. Oh, actually, no. I think I used the smaller of them now that I'm looking at it. It's been a long week. All right, let's try that again. Let's do the smaller one. Yep, definitely the smaller of the circles. My bad. But I guess if you did want to, you could do the bigger ones. You just have really big eyes. So this bigger one would work too. Okay. So now we have our 2 eyes right there. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 black circles just out of that black scrap real quick. Okay, so we've got the eyes. Now, to go ahead and get rid of the little tail of the balloon, you see that little tail, which isn't really a very eye shape. What I'm going to do is line up our 2 balloons that we just cut out, nice and even. We're going to take our paper snips and just basically trimming a point out of them. So cutting one way and cutting the other, just to kind of straighten that out. We'll just, see, there you go. Trim that out, make it look more like an eye shape. There you go. Okay, so then we've got those. Then we've got our black circles that are just going to go right on top, just like that. So pretty simple. Now for the reflection spots, and I think that's part of what makes it look so cute, is those reflection spots. We're going to take our either chalk marker, your Uniball pen, whatever white pen you have, and you're just going to basically kind of do like a check mark or apostrophe and a dot. You can make it bigger or smaller, but that's the essential shape, is the apostrophe, check mark, kind of a semicolon of the eye. Kind of fill it in a little better. Okay. And do the opposite eye as well. A dot, and do that semicolon. If you don't like the look of it, you can always flip it over and try it again, but that gives you kind of the idea and the basic look. There we go. I'm going to straighten that one out a little. See, just kind of the cute, kind of the anime eye reflection spots. So very, very simple. I'll go ahead and just glue those real quick. And then we will move on to the next part of the face. And when I glued it, I do like to have, I don't know if you can see, a little bit of that brown edge on top showing. I know the lighting may not show it as well. So I kind of try to put the iris, or the pupil, I guess, down a little further. And we have our 2 Groot eyes, very cute, ready to go. I'm going to stick those off to the side for now. Now we're going to go on to the actual face. Now, everyone that does this, there's going to be a little bit of a difference there as far as the final texture, and there's some free cutting going on. But first thing we're going to start off with is the mouth. Now for the mouth, I just cut out a piece of Post-it note with my oval punch. If you have a circle punch, that would work well, or just kind of a slightly curved shape. Any of those will work, but this is just a quick and easy way to do that. So I'm just going to take that oval shape and lay it down. And then I'm going to take my Project Life marker and just trace that. And I really like that it kind of gives him a slight smile, you know, just a very subtle smile right there. So there we go. And I'm going to give him just a little, tiny little half circle on the ends. Very, very subtle, hard to see, I know. All right, and then I also did another one, just kind of a little line below as well. I don't know if you can see that. Go. Okay, so there's our basic mouth. Looking good so far. Now the next thing is the top of the head. Now this is another one that it will look different depending on how you cut it. So basically I took my paper snips and I'm going to just kind of fussy cut a, I don't know how to describe it, kind of a mountainous looking rocky. Everybody's is going to be a little different, but I like to have the right side a little higher than the bottom, just to kind of give it a little more definition, kind of back and forth, back and forth. See, there we go. Just like that. Now, also want it to not be too high for the card. I mean, if you want him to have a longer face, he will look a little older, but shorter faces tend to be, in my mind, a little cuter. So I'm just trim that a little bit more here. Back and forth. So you just got that kind of nice edge going. So I think that's close enough. All right, so I'm going to use that edge, that scrap here in a minute, because we know it is very similar to what we just cut. So we're going to use that as a guide for our sponging and lines. So I'm going to pull out that chocolate chip ink real quick. I'm going to grab my marker and my other marker. Oh, and the sponge. I knew I was forgetting something. There we go. Sponge. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, so we've got that guide right there, and you can flip it if you want to go the other way. It doesn't really matter, but what we're doing is kind of doing those valleys and hills, kind of giving it some definition with the sponge. And by masking it, you can kind of target that area. Now I know the camera will shake a little bit. I apologize as I do this. Okay, so you can see we've got that line of texture right there. I'm going to do another little bit right here. So this one will be a little different than my last one, but that's okay. Okay, so you see that other next line. And now what I'm also going to do is take that ink and just give him a good sponging around the sides. And I think that really kind of defines the face a little more, makes it stand out, a little more realistic in my opinion. I mean, I guess he is a talking living tree, so realistic is, you know, personal opinion, but anyway. So I'm just kind of a little around the cheeks there. There we go. See, it looks better already in my opinion. All right. There we go. And then also I gave a little bit on the lip on this one, and for that I just kind of used that mask again and just sponged up. Trying to kind of make that lip pop a little, but I don't know that you necessarily need it. All right. So now we've got kind of that basic sponging going on so far. Now I'm going to take my mask again. Now you could do this before lifting it up. It probably would have been easier. I'm going to take my chocolate chip marker. So we've got that nice fine tip. And we're going to trace that line. Oh, you can hardly see it. Let's try the other side. Okay. Now I don't necessarily want to do a big solid line. I'm kind of doing little, just kind of like a little dotted line. I do the same thing with this one. See that? That just kind of defines those rocky areas. Okay. So then I also want to kind of do some lines going down to kind of accent that wood texture. If you can do it on a wood grain already, that works. You can also mask it with a Post-it note, or just use the edge of that scrap. And I'm just going to do some like little thin lines going down. Here. We will accent these in a minute. Okay, you see that so far? Not too bad. And you can add more ridges and valleys and hills, kind of personal preference on that. I'm going to add a little more sponging at the very top. I think I missed the top. Okay, so now for the grass, because if you look at pictures of Groot, you know, being that he is a tree, he does have a little bit of foliage coming out of his head. So what I did is I took that Tranquil Tide marker, and if you have garden green or a different shade of green, you could do that as well. You don't have to have this exact shade, but I'm just going to do little dots just along that ridge line. Just dotting it up. This is a similar technique that we would use on the Lovely as a Tree set to do like little leaves, but just kind of going all around that top. I think of it like the top of a mountain, you know, just kind of adding some foliage from a distance kind of thing. And then I also like to add it just along those edges that the lines down that we did. So I'm going to go down here. But yeah, just lots of tiny dots. Kind of gives it a softer look. It's not too harsh. And you can see that this second one already looks a bit different than the first, but both, I think, are going to turn out pretty cool. I wonder if anybody watching this video is as excited about this movie coming out as I am, because I think it is going to be a really cool one. Okay. You can kind of see coming together. Now you can also add a little more brown if you want, if it's looking a little too green in areas. Not too bad. You can also test him with the eyes, if the eye's on there. Look at that. Oh, he's looking so cute. So cute. I'm going to kind of fill in some of these little spaces here. Very, very cute. All right, I'm going to do a little bit more sponging. Just to accent those valleys. And then I think we are ready for some glue. But you can already see how this Groot is a little different than my first, but both, I think, turned out very cute. All right, so we're going to close up our ink, and let's stick him together. So for the eyes, I recommend trying to stick them, you got a little white on there, but I'll clean in a second. Okay, try to stick them a little further out, because if you put him really close, he doesn't really have the same cute factor in my opinion. I mean, maybe you like them close together, but I think just having them out kind of makes the face look wider and makes him look a little more adolescent. You know, we're going for cute baby Groot. All right, so for that, you only need to do a little glue on the pointy bit of the eye, since we've got some hanging off. There we go. I can kind of adjust it a little bit. Do try to line them up. You don't want them too crooked. Down a little bit. Okay, what do you think so far? Yeah. See, I think the longer head makes him look a little older, but still very cute. All right, so let's go ahead and glue the rest of our card together. We've got all of our pieces here. Let me take all the Post-it notes off. Don't need to glue those down. All right, so we've got our card base and then another piece that's that same tone as Groot is. The other side's really pretty too. Oh, it's just such gorgeous paper. And glue it to where we have that nice little edge showing all the way around. All right, and then we're going to do another sheet of that paper, just weathered texture. And you could do some other wood tones, some just browns and greens if you wanted. Just layer that on top. So you see that little edge, and then we've got our always artichoke piece. Glue that down. Straight down in the center. Okay. Now you can glue him straight flat if you'd like. I kind of like doing him at a slight angle just because he fits a little better on the card and kind of makes it look more unique. But of course, I prefer to use dimensionals, kind of give them a little bit of a pop off that card instead of just so flat. But you could do him flat as well. All right, so I'm going to flip him over, slap some dimensionals on here. You don't necessarily need to go crazy with them, but you do want to get the corners. So I'm going to take off the backings. Stick him down at an angle. And just be sure that he's not hanging off the card. And there you have it. A very cute Groot card ready for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie release this weekend. Thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.